All right, I think we'll call the meeting to order at about 4:32.
John, did you want that door closed?
That's fine with me. I know.
He's okay. He's okay with it. He said that doesn't.
If I could take a moment, reflect passing of Brian Abrams, former Jackson resident, lived here down the street from me for a couple of years. Yeah, he lived right down Sugar Hill Lane, and good friend for most of us, and certainly worked with his wife and family, knew it very well. And I'd like to take a moment to think about him, please, and his family. Thank you very much.
On that note, there's going to be a full crew of us in full dress uniform there. So.
Cool. Yeah, it's 4 to 6? No, 6 to 8 of visiting hours tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is there?
Or something. We got to be there earlier.
Yeah, I thought it was a special one for you guys.
Pretty major.
Yeah. And then I think the church service is Saturday at 11.
22 years of rescues with us. So.
Yeah, good man. Certainly enjoyed his company. First on the agenda is to amend and approve the minutes, Selectmen's minutes from July 25th. Can I take a motion on those?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion or anything on those minutes? Anybody have to add? Or? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor in accepting the minutes from July 25th?
Aye.
Aye. And next are the non-public meeting minutes from July 25th. Already been approved and sealed, so we just need to initial these. Sir. Here, I'm trying to keep it somewhat organized for the office folks. All right, update on action items. All right, we got one for Bill. One for you. And let's see, what we got? Dog licenses, anything on visitor homes?
She's still
Working
in
on
that
that.
process and nothing of consequence to add at this moment, no.
I think all of the other ones on the three of you, the list that you guys have is going to be discussed.
Pretty much the same.
And it's
Yeah.
just decisions later on in the meeting.
Okay, so we got the job descriptions, and again, you said that's up for later on in 10C, I believe.
Yeah.
Letter from Andy.
That's going to be non-public.
Okay. Review Department Safety Ordinance. That was the ones for vendors, right?
Yeah, that's going to be down in
That's
the
coming up
business.
later. And Highway Department job descriptions, again, that's coming up. And the review of the Jackson Falls plan.
That's an old business.
That's also old business, so. So you got, so that takes care of the three of us. Julie, you got the deputy job description,
Yep,
deputy
that's-
clerk job description done?
That's in old business as well.
Okay, LGC about the risk assessment and evaluation.
So I actually met with someone about that today, and basically I think they weren't able to say, yes, we can come in, evaluate your whole town, and do an assessment like that. So what we're going to start with is looking over the member agreement, see what's covered, what's not covered. They said they really only come out for specific reasons, and then we're going to look at the trainings that could be an option for us. So we're not going to have necessarily someone kind of overseeing everything the town does. He said that's too general.
Yeah, good. I know it seems like it'd be wasting a little time
Yeah.
if it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Cost analysis of the transfer station.
That is actually in that folder for you to just
All
kind of
right.
take.
Yeah. All right. How are we looking here?
It's comparing January to, I think, July 2012, January to July 2013.
So we're down about 17,000?
Yeah.
Wow. That's good news. In our favor.
Was that consistent every month, so that,
It's been for the first 6 months of this year compared to the first 6 months of last year.
right, but I'm saying, would we expect that same amount of savings over the next 6 months?
Well, what it was doing was looking at the 3 payments that we paid to Bartlett thus far,
Right.
and then the same accounts for those months that correspond, so it was a equal comparison.
Okay,
So I would assume that would continue.
okay.
Well, really, we didn't start doing the division of the new contract until March, so really, I would think from now on it should be pretty even, I would think. I mean, I think the reason we had such a big difference here was because we went from the old contract to the new contract. And that might have been where the savings was, but we may not see as much of the savings the next half a year.
I'm not sure of all of the
That's hard,
history of it, so
yeah.
I was just kind of looking at the,
Guaranteeing that we're gonna see that kind of savings. I mean, $17,000 is quite a bit of money. So,
we can look at the detail, and we can,
it's not, I don't think it's gonna prorate to the same amount.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it, is it the lump sum payback amount in there?
Well, I think it was just because we started we turned it over to the new numbers, so,
Or? Right,
so I think,
but when we agreed with them, we did a look back
Mhm.
to 2011,
right,
and that's what that lump sum check was.
right.
So
So that was different.
in theory, those months should be accurate comparisons. And that's my question, are we expecting a $34,000 savings over the course of the year if we had 17 in the first month? So I'm curious.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I'm,
Maybe in 3 months we can figure
Yeah.
out where we are on that.
Absolutely.
That's good to know. Forward New Hampshire Department of Safety Ordinance to Planning Board, I did that, or it has been done. All right, so that's good, I'll look at that. Tax cards for the next 3 months being done, tracking the tax cards. What does that mean? What are they?
you wanted to know how many we print on a weekly
Oh, that's right.
basis or
And how are we
email.
doing on that?
We're keeping track of it,
Okay.
so, I mean, we were getting the requests, I just don't know, if you guys will think it's worth the expense of having it online.
Any possible projects with grant money will be posted so those interested can participate in the next round. Habitat for Humanity post has been done. And talk to DS, what happens to the sandbaggers who have not complied with letters that I gave copies compared to penalties associated with non-compliance, so that's something. Have you heard anything back from them, or?
No, do you mean from no
No.
more than
No.
the 2 letters that we received?
Okay. Anybody have anything to add on that?
No.
Let's see, video conference, update on the action, I just did that, video conference call?
Oh, just one more thing, if you back up to Ella's on the sound system.
Oh, yeah,
There's an email packet stream in the folder that she did touch base with Sean Doucette about that and got a recommendation. And I think it would be about $1,000 for his recommendation, which would have to wait until next year, but we can.
budget for it.
Mhm.
How about an outdoor system, do you have a,
I believe
Here it
he
is,
gave one system for both.
really?
I
Yeah.
contacted him and explained what our needs were with him over the phone. It'd be nice to have a sound system that could work at the cemetery and also have other uses in town events where voice
Duck race.
amplification makes sense. And he came back with a Bose sound system that he felt was real top of the line and a big bang for the buck that could do a lot for us for $1,000. And then he also, I think it was $400 to put some acoustic boards up in this room that would improve on the acoustics in this room. I think he was involved in a discussion that took place a while back about the poor acoustics in this room. He says you got the flat space, everything echoes, it's a warehouse, and you put these things up, they're pretty simple to put up, but that would be a $400 investment. He, I guess at some point had told somebody he was going to look into that, and so he was just, oh, now that you're asking that, I'll follow up on the other as well. And he sent me links, and I forwarded them on to Ella for both of those products.
decide at a later date if you want to go ahead to get that in the budget,
Yeah, I think that's something we would probably have to, do
talk about your
article on.
budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great if we've got like maybe a wish list, so we don't forget it when we put the budget together.
Mm.
Pull some of that money out of the highway department and put it in this.
Celebrate.
All right. We don't go there. Video conference call.
That has actually been postponed and it may not happen.
Okay.
That's been postponed a week.
And who's Robert Kazigian Field?
He's a gentleman that owns some land,
Up by,
on
You
Juniper.
want to
Juniper.
Oh, he's the one, okay.
Yeah, I had,
For it.
I looked into it,
Yeah.
I got a hold of Burr. Burr basically said, not our problem.
Are you talking about the culvert?
Yeah,
Okay.
on Juniper. Not the town's responsibility, not the town's problem, it's gone there forever. I told him, he said he'd be willing to have a discussion with, what is his first name?
Robert.
Robert. So that's the way it got left with me. My guess was that he wasn't gonna like the answer, and he was gonna come to you people and disagree with Burr.
Well, what,
Burr's professional opinion is, and I had told Burr to make sure you write a letter explaining so I can give it to you, but I haven't.
Could you give them just a brief summary of?
It's
what's going
basically on Juniper Retreat Way. There's a sharp corner right by BJ Hotz's. There's a culvert that crosses the road. All the water comes down the mountain
sure.
and goes downhill. When it comes out, this guy owns right on the corner by BJ Hotz's, this guy owns all that land.
Right, the frontage goes around like
And
that.
it's been sitting there for who knows how many years, taking all the water from when the road was built, the culvert was put in. He's trying to sell it. So now it's dumping all the water from draining from the road, the ditches, on his land.
Right.
So it's causing issues for him. I see his problem, but, and I wasn't willing to go on his property and just start making ditches or diverting water, because if you divert water, next thing you know, it's going somewhere else, so it might be flooding somebody else, blah, blah, blah. So he basically said that it's our water, we need to do something about it, and we can't do that, and blah, blah, blah.
so
So I threw it at Burr.
the,
Burr said it's not our issue.
When was the culvert put in, do you have any idea?
Whenever Juniper was built, 60s.
60s, yeah.
60s probably.
and the realtor of the people that are interested in buying called me yesterday, and she was gonna send a letter, and she never did, but, that I was gonna present to you guys, because she wants to know what would be involved in getting a culvert moved. So, I don't know.
We can't really move our culverts without a permit for one, I mean, technically. The problem is,
A permit from,
if you, you want me to draw it on that?
Draw it up.
Sure.
I just happen to have this really nice pen for it.
Ooh. I feel like I need school now. Don't start from away from.
This is the drainage there. This is where BJ's driveway is, for those of you that know BJ Hobbs. This guy's property does this, something like that. And this is all downhill.
Right.
So the water comes off the road, goes in the ditch, and comes to this culvert, and empties right straight into his property. The water comes down by BJ's under his driveway and empties right here. Well, so this is all silt from years of everything. So the problem with it is it goes out here and just naturally filters through the land. Well, I don't know if he wants to direct it this way so that they can build, or what they want to do. But, if all of a sudden if I was for the town to come in here and, I can't just move the culvert like this Because if it does, it's still gonna go down here.
Right.
I can't go on his property and just dig ditches.
Right.
Because our right of way is like this. And so, and then if we were to do that, now all of a sudden, is the water going on somebody else's property over here that now they're gonna get mad? It's just one of them revolving issues, so. Her kinda said,
You say
it's
we're
been
not
going
liable?
there, it's going there forever and it's not our
And it's not a
responsibility.
town liability.
Not a town, I guess that depends on which lawyer and what he interprets.
Got it. Got it.
So if the realtor calls and asks if that can be moved, I mean.
Not as far as I'm concerned,
So,
not,
so.
I mean, if
I
I move the town culvert, it's not gonna change the outcome of where the water's gonna go. The
Water's
only way
still
you're
gonna
gonna
pull
change
down.
the outcome of where the water goes is if you
Ditch.
do some huge ditch and berm on his property, not in our right of way.
Okay, so if they want to do something on their property to deal with it, they, of course.
They can, but they're gonna have to control the water no matter where
Right.
it goes. That's the
Yeah.
problem. And now we're talking another holding pond, you know, something like that, like at Brian Shaw.
So-
If I may to suggest.
I know he was pretty serious about not taking no for an answer.
Yeah, how big a piece of land is that, do you know? Acreage?
I don't know. I know it went,
Oh, you
that
know,
way.
I do have,
I think it's a small lot.
Yeah.
And I think the big issue was, he wants to be able to sell this as a 3-bedroom home.
Right.
And his septic capacity,
It's a wet lot.
based on soils, it will only allow 2. So I think that's.
well, part of the septic plan is he needs.
3/4 of an acre.
May I suggest, based on this letter that they're saying, you know, would you move the culvert? Let's burden them with it and say, why don't you write up a distinct engineering proposal, and if you present that, we can look at it and see, that way we can answer to something and say yes or no. But put the burden on them to put the engineering proposal together of what they want us to do, not what they want to do. And let them do the burden.
They want us to do it.
No, we're saying, you want this done, you make up a program, hire an engineer, go do it, present the program, send it to us, and we'll look at it. Go from
Our
there.
engineer look at it, but, you know,
Yeah.
I know you can't deposit water into somebody else's property, so.
Well, I just, you know, to get away from this, you guys tell them to go put an engineering proposal together.
Good to me.
Has it been written communication back and forth, or is it all phone?
He was accusing us of,
Well, that
Not
was
the-
a phone call, right?
yeah, phone calls. He was basically saying that, you know, we don't maintain it, we don't do nothing. It's like, you know, we keep the culvert cleaned out, you know, just because silt, he basically, the way it sounded to me was he was saying that if we dump silt out of our culvert onto his property, we have to clean it up. And Burr basically said, it's been going there for 30, 40 years, it's,
And
phone,
the realtor was just a verbal exchange?
yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Tell her to write it what she wants.
Okay, I will do that.
And then we'll say no.
Could be.
Anything else to that?
so I can check that one off.
Public comments, anybody? Hearing none, we'll go to the police report.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, Jay. Next, chair shuffle tonight.
Hey,
How are you?
okay. All right. We're continuing to maintain house checks on town citizens that are going away on vacation. We assisted the state police with a car up at the Ellis River Falls parking lot that had been broken into. The animal control officer handled a call that a bat that was in a house, and there's I guess a younger boy in the bathroom where the bat was, and apparently when you get bit by bats you don't know it. So the bat was caught, and she had it sent down to Concord for testing for rabies, which was negative. Bear had a bear complaint where a bear had broken into a house and I guess swiped at a dog and scraped the dog. 6 false burglar alarms. Had a car hit a moose up in the notch where the moose had to be euthanized. Had a parking complaint at the end of Carter Notch Road, in which the car was parked in a turnaround. And, the owner of the turnaround wanted some action done, and we did issue a ticket because there was a no parking sign there. Had 2 different disturbance calls at a local motel. We took
Same hotel?
same, yeah, motel,
Motel, excuse me.
yeah, same, just different days.
People staying there disturbing other people or
No,
something?
between guests there and a staff member. We had,
Any arrests or any charges come from that, or is it all settled?
it's not all settled, no, no.
Okay,
So,
you're supposed to.
we had a person make a complaint about receiving phone calls on her cell phone at night. It appears as though it's a telemarketer, and we're going to do the best we can to try and track down. We call the number back, it just goes to an answering service. We had a motor vehicle accident at the Bartlett-Jackson Town line in which a deer was hit. Took a report for a overdue subject. He went out to do daily activities and was overdue, but he eventually arrived home. It's just the ambulance with a elderly female that fell, hit her head. Took a bear complaint at a local hotel. It's just the ambulance with a gentleman who had been stung multiple times by bees. Had a noise complaint at 2 in the morning up on at a residence up on Tin Mine. We had the cover bridge dance, that went very well, no problems. We have an accident in the hotel parking lot between a car and a golf cart. It's just the ambulance with a 95-year-old female who has been having difficulty waking up. And had an open line 911, which was a child playing with the phone.
I notice you do a lot of false alarms, burglar alarms.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of repeat offenders on that, or must be, huh?
It has been in the past. When we started instituting a fine,
Oh, there is a fine?
yeah, after the freebies, over time it got better and better and better. People started paying attention to their
What's the
alarms.
policy?
Yeah, 2 freebies a year.
Third one cost you?
Excuse me?
Third one cost you?
Yes.
2 free?
Yeah,
3 strikes and you're out type thing?
I guess. Yeah.
I was just curious about that, because that's a lot of time that you put into those calls, and they're happening all hours of the night, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We're in the process of looking at that fire because of some specific nuisance calls we're having with files this thick. Problem we got is the proper process in the fine. Can't just, from what I'm told, I can't just issue a fine. I gotta have an ordinance that says this is how we're doing it. So I'm kind of in limbo right now as to where I'm at with it. I think we're going to have a phone conversation with LGC as to, is this ordinance, does it have to be, Goody doesn't feel comfortable with it at all until we figure out, he's pretty sure you got to have some kind of ordinance.
Do you guys have like a written ordinance for your fines?
Whether or not it's got to be, the question right now is whether or not it's got to be an ordinance that gets elected, voted on at town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, can I write a policy, in-house policy that says this is how we're going to deal with it? That's what we don't know.
And that's your questions to LGC.
Right.
And then it's a matter of the billing. and then where the money goes. Because we got one that sick us with that. Just looking to do something. Trying to deal with it, I'm still trying to deal with it.
Have you had your policy for a while?
About, yes, we've had it for,
Well, 3 years ago, we did that, didn't we?
well, we've had ours since maybe 6 years ago, and that was modified somewhere about 3 years ago. Yeah, because initially it was $25 and that was nothing. People would pay that. Then it was raised to 100, and then people started paying attention.
But I just talked to Goody about it a little bit ago, a few minutes ago, and he doesn't feel at all comfortable with it until we figure out the proper procedure, legal procedure.
And can we ask LGC on that?
Yeah, for sure.
For both these guys, to make sure we're doing it right? I mean,
Oh, sure.
mm.
I can ask him, yeah.
Yep,
Maybe
okay.
they've had it in place for a long time.
Right, but if it isn't an official ordinance, it
Oh,
might not
okay.
be, somebody wanted to
Okay.
squawk at it, they
Sure,
might not be able to
sure.
have any ground to stand on.
Okay.
Anything else for the chief?
No.
What's that?
I'm good.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Andy? No, is there a planning board meeting tonight?
I'm sorry?
Planning board?
Yes.
It is tonight?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. I was looking there and saying, planning board's on the 15th, it looked like on the board there. It is tonight.
Double
Double
Good
dipping.
evening, good evening. It's been a quiet week in Lake Wobegon. The permits are pretty self-explanatory. We haven't had anything outrageous. And I don't know if you want me to read down through the list or
Yeah,
how much time. Okay, so we've got a foundation repair for Ross Parent, which they're taking out old foundation and re-supporting the structure. They're not raising it, they're just replacing it in place. We've got a 14 by 15 wood shed, and that's for wing. The Hillers are making some remodeling changes in staying inside the existing footprint, but they're changing it's a 3-season porch into living space. And we've got kitchen.
They don't have enough living space.
No comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get to decide. And then we've got a kitchen remodel, and we're replacing an electrical panel and upgrading the smoke detection system for the Kennedys. And then the next two, Curtis and Crane, are both extensions of building permits from, well, Crane is, geez, I don't know, this is maybe the 4th extension, and Curtis is just 1 year, and they had a contractor issue last year, and it just didn't happen, so those are the permits that we've dealt with this week. I have a couple that we've already got in for, for next week, and one I've got some questions on, but we'll get through that. The other thing that we've been discussing with town staff is changing the permit fee. We've had for as long as I've been involved in Jackson, there've been 2 applications. There's our permit fee, and then there's the application fee. I'm not sure how we came up with the application fee. It was either $25 or $75, depending on on the value.
Which we no longer do.
Right, which we no longer do. And I would suggest that even prior to eliminating the value, I believe the cost of processing an application is the same for town staff, whether it's a $4,000 shed or a $400,000 new home. I mean, the printing the application, sending it off to me, and then making the actual building permit placard and laminating that, I think that the costs are consistent, whether it's the shed or the house. It's the cost doesn't change the amount of time. Some of,
That's correct.
yeah, I mean, sometimes they do take longer, there's lots of calls, but I think that on average, it
Those
would-
costs are the same.
Right. So my suggestion would be to eliminate that $75 charge where the building code requires applications to be made. It will make it less painful for someone, building a shed at a $25 application fee. And that fee just covers the processing for the town. So, or whatever
We're
you
thinking
guys.
25 for everything.
Yeah, I think that seems, it seems reasonable if they can process it for that amount of money. That's just to recover the town's expense. So, but we just thought we'd bring it up to you guys and
It's fine with me.
see what you thought.
And how many permits a year we charge that $75 fee for?
Oh, I don't know how many per
I
year.
mean, what are we doing, 40-something a year? total?
Correct, yeah.
How many
yeah.
of those are $75, half?
Most of
Probably
Probably most of them.
Probably most of them,
Because it was over that $10,000 threshold,
Yeah,
is really what they
yeah.
kicked that in before.
yes,
So at 30, that would be a $1,500 difference that would be taken in.
right.
Would we still be a revenue neutral line item here? or what's-
Well, the formula would still kick in for the
The
rest
for,
of the
right,
inspection stuff.
right. So in
This
that,
is only for the processing part.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're not increasing the formula for the inspection, so that's
Correct.
$1,500 less we take in. You're basically suggesting that because of a fairness issue.
yeah, I mean, to me, it makes sense, and and Julie and I have briefly talked about this, whatever the administrative costs are for processing the permit application, and then of course, the copying supplies for the application, and, the laminating supplies, and the orange poster whatever those costs are, right.
Right.
So.
You can do that for $25? You could process this fee in the town office and do all this stuff for $25 and break even?
Well, that's a question for staff, but whatever it is, I think that it ought to be a
Flat fee.
flat fee versus the 25, 75, because to me, it doesn't make any sense, because the processing costs are the same.
Right.
So the 10,000, which really wasn't the old thing.
And really, all this is doing now is confusing the issue. I mean, it really, because the $10,000,
Is immaterial now.
it really doesn't matter.
How about split the difference and do 50?
That's completely up to you guys and staff.
That's them. You guys get to decide that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would cover us a little bit more.
Well, it's kind of like my next question, or one that was also on my mind, is do we really need to look at this from a what we're taking in standpoint, so that but then again, if somebody's got to get a $50 fee for a shed or some small thing like that, is that fair to that person? So there's lots of...
And it really isn't a matter of what you're taking in, it's what the town's expending on this line item. It's whatever it's costing you guys for
Costs.
for town staff. So, if it's 15 minutes or half an hour of time, plus copying, and, that's the issue.
And
So,
that would be nice to know. How much time would it take to process a permit? At what hourly rate are we expending to do that?
Mhm. Well, Ella
And
does
then to get
the majority of the processing. work
yeah,
done.
yeah.
to get to that point where that permitting process is complete,
Mhm.
what's our
Would you like some
average
numbers
cost?
for next week?
Yeah,
Okay.
next meeting. I think
Yeah,
that'd be,
it's
Just the initial,
right,
on all 425, that's all we need.
right. But yeah, you guys, you want to cover your expense.
Right.
So, yeah. Makes sense to me?
Yep.
Yahoo?
Anything else for us, bud?
That's it?
All right.
Oh, and I'm working on the description, and yeah, I'm about halfway done with my typing, so yeah, whatever you guys are.
And when
We
we're
should be
done
ready
with
for that.
that, what, are we gonna schedule another work session and come together?
Yeah, I think we have to tune it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect,
Okay, so
All right.
we'll figure out when that's gonna be, once you
Excellent.
give us the sign that you're
excellent.
far enough along.
Fantastic. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Done with me? Excellent. Have a nice night.
All yours.
Thank you.
And this one too?
But I think those are
All
for
Bob's.
Bob.
Give you that folder right there. Off my desk. All right, so Bob's doing the sign of dues. So number 7 is the manifest, which Bob's working on, and then legal fees for item number 8.
No changes.
No changes because Brian has been, Peter was on vacation, and so we really kind of did nothing with him this month, which is nice, no cost to us. New business.
I got a whole list of stuff, I'm not really on the agenda, but I know
You are
had
now.
some questions for me.
What you got, bud?
Start with the easy stuff, I guess.
Good luck.
Yeah, apparently we're paving, we're in the progress of paving. So Whitney's Hill is done, Summer Black's done. They got rained out this morning, so we're in the process of paving. In the process of paving Black Mountain Road, apparently after I left at 5:30 last night, there was an issue. Apparently the pavers held up a lady on Black Mountain Road by the name of Muse or Munich or something, and she was extremely mad,
Abusive?
unhappy, and abusive to the flaggers, to the pavers. Apparently they held her up for 15 minutes. And, you know, they were trying to pull, because Black Mountain Road is so narrow, they had to pull at one pull.
Right.
So we were trying to,
Get things set up and roll it out.
and apparently she was pretty abusive, and I'm very happy that she didn't come to me today, because I probably would have lost it.
She came in here.
I was gonna have to leave.
She
She's a
asked,
year-round resident?
I don't know. I think she lives, I'm not sure which one it is, but I assume, according to her, she wants to talk to you guys at some point.
she came in asking for contact information, and I suggested that she speak with you since you are the liaison for.
Thanks, Lou.
She was, apparently to the flagger, she was mentioning stuff about, you know, you can't do this and you can't do that, and emergency vehicle this, and FBI that, and she worked for the FBI and the CIA, and this and that and that and that, and she was pretty miserable. And there's absolutely no need for it, for a 15-minute wait. If she waited an hour, it'd be a little different, and I hope nobody puts up with it.
Wow.
So,
Well, that's.
You know about it.
I mean.
15 minutes out of your day.
You know, I mean,
because apparently she was late for dinner, and the paving foreman said he saw saw the vehicle pull into shovel handle.
I think it's unfortunate, but the fact of the matter is, you know, we've got a road system in this town we can be proud of, and it's because we invest in it, and from time to time, these things need to happen in order to keep up with stuff. Hopefully she'll be really pleased with that road when she drives on it this winter.
Yeah, really.
Apparently she knew my name. I don't recognize the name, but
Who doesn't?
Everybody knows you, Jack.
yeah. All right, there's that. Dundee is done, gravel, stone. So that's done. Roadside mowing's done.
Great shape.
Yep. Still needs a little tuning up and grading. It's still a little.
Great ground, it's in good shape.
Roadside mowing's done. That just got finished. We're preparing to do maybe next week a little bit of painting on the town hall here. Probably the whole building won't get done, but winter sand's all piled up. Black Mountain parking lot, I'm using Black Mountain parking lot with permission from John for some gravel stockpile for all the roads we're paving for shoulders. And Pike's been using it. It's been very helpful to have a place like that to actually be able to position and set up and park cars instead of on the side of the road like we usually do.
Can we
I
write
don't
up a
know
note to John thanking him for that?
Sure.
I don't know if any complaints will come out of the neighborhood over it because there's town equipment or town gravel being on it, but if there is, I brought it up.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great if we could all sign that,
Sure.
give that out to John. Appreciate his community spirit.
I'm sure that possibly will be some complaints.
That's what we're here for.
Carter Notch, do you want to discuss anything with the parking issue on Carter Notch, or?
Yeah, I wanted a little input on that.
And I did find, the funny part about the whole thing is where we've always stopped plowing, even back in 1990 when I worked here, even when my grandfather was here. Apparently the Class 5 road extends, according to the tax map, 500 feet beyond where we stopped plowing. Probably nothing would ever happen, but technically I think Class 5 road has to be maintained year round. So whether we should be plowing 500 more feet, I don't know. I think so. You know, if somebody ever went up, tried going up to Prospect Farm in the middle of a blizzard, got stuck,
Came down with the tax map.
found out it was a Class 5 road and it wasn't maintained, what if? It's the what if factor. What if the moon crashes into us, you know?
No comment.
So that's kind of, just found that out looking into the parking issue.
Is it just
The only
past-
thing I got with this issue, and I'm sure some of you know some info on it, is this has been talked about and been talked about and been talked about and talked about for years. It's this parking issue up there. Hopefully we can find some way to resolve it so we don't have to continue having this discussion a year from now or 5 years from now or 10 years from now. I don't know if it's fixable though, because all the property owners aren't willing to let us build a turnaround. The only other option is to not plow the road.
Now, the last part you plow is right where the cross-country, I mean, not the cross-country, but the...
Just beyond Joni White's,
Johnny White's.
right where the signs are.
Yeah.
I did find out we have a 50-foot, 24.75 feet off center line is our right-of-way.
Up that road.
So I got a, Ski Torn has been talking about trying to do something up above, some kind of parking lot with a cooperation with a landowner. If that happened, that would mean we'd be plowing beyond the Class 5 and on the Class 6 a little bit if we turned around up there. I guess we do have the option of turnaround in the new Ski Torn parking lot, which is just before Joni White's. That's an option. I was gonna, probably in the fall, the Class 5 road, if I've got roughly a 50-foot right-of-way, beyond where we turn now, it's pretty narrow. I plan on this spring taking advantage, this fall, taking advantage of our 50-foot right-of-way and fixing it up. Maybe we can, without going on anybody's property, like the Saco River Valley Land Trust, whoever owns the Holcomb's property that won't let us build an extra 10 feet for turnaround, which has been talked about and talked about for years and years and years.
Is that
Well
Lisa
beyond-
Holcomb?
I don't know. Because it was put in a land trust, the 5-page document on the land trust won't allow it. But maybe I can, up at the end of the Class 5, I can, within my 50 feet of right-of-way, maybe I can build something that we can get turned around in. So we can get away from, not turn around when we're turning around. As far as parking in the turnaround, outside of the 50-foot right-of-way, That's between whoever the homeowner is and the PD.
So we went up there, what, 2, 3 weeks ago, and the biggest issue with this turnaround area right now is that, and there's an agreement that was signed, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago between the landowner and the town to expand and create that turnaround, partly using some of her property on the other side of the road from her house, is that she's frustrated that people are using that turnaround as a turnaround. When she's there, she would prefer not to have that kind of traffic happening in front of her house when she's up for whatever, a month or a couple of weeks in the summer, however long she's up for. She likes it nice and quiet and serene. And then she would also prefer that people not park there, and it's posted no parking, but people go up there and they see that it's wide there and they want to park, and they do. So she wants now for us to tow anybody that parks up there, and yet she wants that area to be held and reserved, and for her family members to be able to park there, and people who use her house, summer cottage, to be able to park there. And I've had several conversations with her. The last one was just listening only. And she, you know, has a, because I asked her what she thought about us, you know, doing something in non-winter months to not have a turnaround space there, but that doesn't work for her because she wants her family to park there, and if it wasn't wide enough, then her family wouldn't be able to park there. And I kind of mentioned to her that I didn't think we could selectively ticket or selectively tow people.
Well, we still have to have a turnaround somewhere. I mean, we
Right,
gotta do
even
maintenance on, even in summer.
In the summer.
You gotta have somewhere to turn. Or that, or we gotta drive all the way to Prospect Farm Gate.
Right. So the solution's, you know, not easy, and
The other thing
I
that,
think we're violating the terms of the agreement we have with her, but it does say in the agreement that any party that wants to vacate the agreement can. So you like to maintain good neighborly relations, but I'm not sure really where the answer is. And Jay's spent an inordinate amount of time up there dealing with it. I've probably had 4 or 5 different phone conversations with her about it.
if she's gonna plan on parking family there, she has to realize we have a 50-foot right-of-way.
Right, and that's the whole thing.
And there isn't room enough
There
between
isn't
the
room
edge of the
on her
50-foot
property.
right-of-way and the
Right.
banking
Right.
for her to even park a car. There's barely enough room for me to turn around in the winter.
So if you're out of the road enough so that cars can still use the road to pass and parked, you're partly on her property and you're partly on the town right-of-way. You can't park all on her property unless she chooses to expand that area. You can't park all on the town road, or you'd be into the road so people couldn't pass. Isn't that right, Jay? Pretty much.
Yep.
So it's a,
I was in the office a bunch trying to figure out who we could get a written easement for a turnaround. You've got the Holcomb property, I think it is, which is in this Saco River Valley Land Trust, something or other, on one side, and the Valentine property on the other. And apparently, I don't think we're gonna be able to have any kind of cooperation with either one.
and with Jay's research into the matter, then on top of that, he comes to find out that the Class 5 road really does extend beyond the posted sign that says you're now entering Class 6. And the Class 5 road, as we understand it, is one that the town is obligated to maintain. So we really should be plowing 300-400 feet further to begin with. And so the possible solution would have been, as Tom Perkins is working with these landowners up there to try and develop a parking lot further up the road, if they got that permission and we could partner with him. And so we've had a couple of voicemail exchanges. Tom and I haven't hooked up yet, but I don't even know how realistic that is, or if you've talked to him since I've tried.
I don't know.
to call him.
I don't know. I don't know, it'd be partially on a class 6 road. It's gonna make the route a little bit longer, not that that's a big deal. I guess we've got an option of not plowing Upper Notch all the time with a big truck. Send a little truck up there, which would be a little easier to turn around. That kind of screws our routes up a little bit.
That's a hilly, that's a hilly.
Yeah, I mean, the simple solution right now is if it doesn't go away is, I guess, just to turn around. If I can't get my turnaround in my right of way at the end of the class 5, then we can turn around on the existing ski touring parking lot before Joni Wright's.
Yeah.
You know, and if I gotta back up to Joni's driveway and plow down from there, but that doesn't solve the fact that it's a class 5 and it's supposed to be maintained year round.
Right.
I'm hoping at the end of the class 5, there's a spot there where I'm hoping if I take full advantage of my 50-foot right of way, I can make it work. That's the easiest way out.
And the plan is kind of look into that this fall and have some opportunities. So we haven't found the answer, that's for
No.
sure. We're trying to navigate through.
So I guess the best thing to see what happens.
Yeah.
Just keep it in the back
The
of your
landowner
mind.
is gone for the year as of Monday. She'll still have family members out, and she'll continue to have concerns until something does change.
One thing I just want to mention real quick, I don't think it needs to be much discussion, but there was some discussion back and forth between me and Frank Benish regarding the bridge item on Black Mountain Road for a variance for the property. I can't think of the guy's name. You know where I mean.
Right across from Bees.
Yeah, right across from Davis's.
No, it's not purple.
It's a,
Evans, thank you.
And I read some copies of the minutes the other night, and it was kind of worded in the minutes that I was saying that this is what the fire department is kind of not, I don't know if demanding is the right word, but requesting, there's the word I was looking for. That I was requesting. It's not me requesting it, it's the state fire code requesting it.
And what was the request?
The width, basically the state fire code says that, something about being designed by proper AST standards, typical construction standards. And there was a request about something about guardrails. And I mentioned my phone conversation, which I should have done it by email, I guess, so I'd have the proof. But my phone conversation with Frank was that, you know, the bridge needs to be posted. You drive up there with a fire truck and pull up to this little tiny wooden bridge,
And
and
you know what, Gary?
if you know it says 60,000 pounds or whatever, guy in the fire truck can look at it and say, oh, okay, I can go across it. That comes right straight out of the fire code. It's not my rule, it's not my regulation, it's the state fire code's regulation. So it's not, I'm just the middle person. Because apparently they weren't happy with the fact that I ain't paying $50 for signs or something. And they admit there's some, so basically I just wanted to bring that up and say it's not me requesting it, just out of the blue thin air. State fire code, and I can get anybody who wants a copy of it if they need it, but it's right in there. One other thing, fire related, I got a phone call from a friend of mine whose friend was going to get married at Nesselnook. And Nesselnook told them, it came to me being the fire chief, because usually the fire chief's the one that shuts anyone down, that the town was shutting them down, so the wedding got canceled. So I was like, I don't know anything about it, no idea. Apparently there's some discussion between about Seer and the tax assessor from what I hear. I just wanted to mention it to you guys that came to me that the town was shutting them down.
And that's,
And that's happened before down there. We've been accused of that before when we didn't shut them down, on the fire side of things, yes. So, just wanted to let you know what came to me.
and for the record, that's not true.
But we are,
Those are most of the things I had. I know Julie had mentioned you wanted to talk about the Jackson Falls, a grader update,
Well, they just wanted you here, yeah.
Black Mountain, and a job description thing. The grader update, it's fine, it's great.
grader's great.
Yep. We actually did a little work on it today with Caterpillar Mechanic, which was kind of, sort of part of the thing. Nothing too major, just had to figure out a few things. So unless you guys get any specific questions on the grader.
In Jackson Falls,
We had passed around the packet for everyone to review, because you said you had some things that I think there was one item you wanted to address in there.
well, if we can address it verbally, I mean, we had, what's his name there, Greg Howard, who.
And I've had a discussion,
Together.
I had a discussion with Greg, and actually recently with Larry. When I went up there to try to fix some of the things that they wanted me to fix, I got a hold of Greg and actually met with him one day. And me and him were basically on the exact same page as to what needed to be done, what should be done, and how it should be done. So that was good. I was kind of shocked.
You and
And
Larry? Or you and Greg?
me and Greg.
Yeah.
And then just recently, after I did what work I did, Larry came over and was tickled right to death, thought it was great. But it's kind of a work in progress. It's gonna take some time to figure out what's gonna work best and what's not gonna work best. And so I guess that's my side of it.
Plus, it's tough to do when it's so busy out there anyways.
Yeah, we did it a bunch of mornings.
Okay.
But it's kind of a work in progress. And
Pick away at it.
if Larry's happy, wow, I'm tickled. So.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
bottom line is that there was a lot of work put into the study, and there was a list of some specific recommendations, and I think the only one that kind of everybody agreed should be set to the side was the recommendation to stop mowing and taking care of the brush on the side of the road, just where the guardrail starts to end there and the parking begins to start. And after a walkthrough with Larry and I, and a walkthrough with Jay and I, and then a walkthrough with Jay and Greg,
We're
all
all,
parties agreed that what the town highway department is currently doing up there for maintenance should continue as far as the mowing and the brush cutting back for safety reasons and for accessibility reasons. Everybody agrees that that's the only recommendation that we should probably not consider accepting. So I don't know if we need a formal motion necessarily to accept those recommendations, but that's how everybody agrees we should, all of the stakeholders involved recommend we move forward with that plan.
one thing that Greg even agreed with me on it for the future, next year or the following year or something, somebody should invest in getting rid of all the telephone poles and putting some rough granite curbing down. That really probably should be done someday.
Is that pretty
It's gonna-
costly?
Granite's not cheap. I don't know, a couple $1,000, $3,000 worth of granite or something maybe. It's just a wild guess, but that's something that really probably should be done.
Put that on with the sound system.
Yeah.
So what is it,
something like-
granite to replace the,
Telephone poles.
Granite curbing at the falls to replace the,
I'm surprised those things are still there, to be quite honest. I'm surprised they haven't rolled down.
we lose them every so
Telephone
often.
poles laid on the ground that are barriers for the parking lot.
okay.
Somebody just dings them and they just roll right down the hill. That's good to hear about that.
So, I don't know if you guys need to discuss anything on that, but, okay. Black Mountain was on my list for, if you guys wanted to know something about Black Mountain.
Sure.
I just jotted down Black Mountain from when you guys said you wanted Jay here at the last meeting, so I didn't write down exactly what you wanted to know about Black Mountain.
Well, we had the issue with the sandbags from the DES, and
Do you just want an update, or?
yeah, we haven't heard much.
There's been some letters back and forth. Most of it is kind of in John and Whitney's, Black Mountain and Whitney's hands. It's kind of, even though I was involved in it a little bit on the issues that came about when the Dam Bureau did their investigation or checkup or whatever you want to call it. But it's Whitney's property. So everything's in Whitney's name, which would be, it's kind of confusing because Dawn that owns Whitney's isn't the only, somebody else owns it too. So it's in their name, and then they CC me, and they CC the town for the fire pond deal. And so, as far as I know, last I talked to John, Black Mountain and Whitney's were dealing with it, however they're gonna deal with it. Basically, what it is it's a fire pond, very important resource, fire pond, for the whole town. I mean, it covers a large area. We've used it many times. So it's an important resource to the town, I think. So that's why we've always had a little bit of we have no responsibility to do anything. We don't have to maintain it. We don't have to do nothing to it. We've always done it because it's a really important resource, and we work as a cooperative between mostly Black Mountain and me and Whitney's. The three of us kind of, like John and Whitney's may spend some money, and then we'll just go up there with town equipment, town laborers, and dredge it out. Like the last time we worked up there, L.A. Drew did the excavating because of the long reach excavator. We did the trucking and some other work. Black and Whitney's paid L.A. Drew. After Hurricane Irene, not directly after Hurricane Irene, but the next flood we had, which was a very short distance away from Irene, the dam let go. The sluiceway let go. So I went to, me and John and everybody got together, and I'm like, what do you want to do? You want to fix it, repair it easily, or you want to, sit down with an engineer and go through the permits and go through the engineering process and spend $20,000, or do you want to we chose to try to fix it and get by because of Irene. I looked up on the state website on dams, and supposedly anything less than, or so I thought, anything less than 5 feet in size is not classified as a dam. So I looked at the concrete dam, and it was like 4 feet tall, so it's not a dam, so that's not a big deal. Well, apparently if you read through 42 pages in the fine print, the dam height includes all the dirt and the berm from natural grade from when it was built in 1950. So it needed a permit. So that they're looking at Whitney's and John apparently are looking at a permit, they still got to do the permit for the work that was done. And there was a few little things that had to be fixed in erosion problems, and they didn't like the way the culvert was positioned, so that has to be fixed. And there was a few other things, and there was a couple things that I did immediately just to immediately solve some erosion problems. So that's kind of where we're at.
When was the last time you communicated with John?
I talked to him a bunch on it every couple weeks, month or so. I've talked to him a bunch of times. So the ball's kind of in their court. I have no immediate plans to do anything.
Anything about the sandbags for the?
Those are all cleaned up.
Yeah, maybe for next season?
Well, the future plan is to build some kind of rebuild the dam and rebuild the structure so that you don't have to use the sandbags and have a gating. But there's some logistics problems with who's going to be responsible for it, who's going to take care of it, who's going to be the one that, the weather says we're getting a flash flood, who's going to go shut it so that the pond don't get flooded. If I'm in Laconia and John somewhere, Whitney's going to do it, and or if Whitney's isn't here, is John gonna do it, or,
Right.
so, and there needs to be engineering done so that we know how much it's gonna cost, so that when it comes time, if the town's gonna invest a little bit of money into a portion of it, we need to put it forth in the budget, and it needs to go to the taxpayers in March to be voted on, blah, 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 blah. So the ball's basically in Whitney's and John's hands, and they just keep CCing us letters. And see, the deal with the fire pond is I can legally, by a state statute, repair or do maintenance to the fire pond under RSA, whatever it is, without a permit. I can dredge it, I can clean it out, the intake part of it I can work on. What I can't do is enlarge it. I mean, you gotta make it deeper, but you can't enlarge it, you can't encroach into other wetlands. That is what the town has done their work under. And it's been a cooperative effort between me and John Fischera, because we all have it'd be kind of foolish for me to go up and dredge half of it,
Right.
then have John Fischera go up or dredge a third, me do a third, Whitney, so it's been a cooperative effort, but the state is telling him if they interpret the RSA the way that I do and say that it's okay for the town to do this maintenance without a permit, they're telling him he can't. So how do you have the cooperative effort?
Yeah.
It's kind of confusing. Well, the ball's in their court. We haven't been, other than the fact that maybe I did some work on the dam that I shouldn't have without a permit, but nothing big has come out of it. It's not like we're getting fined, or, especially because it was during a natural disaster. So that's the update on that, as much as I know. The other thing she'd mentioned to me was job description thing, so.
You guys were gonna go approve the highway department after you reviewed, Bill and John had reviewed them.
We have police, deputy clerk, and highway department.
I think that's all I got.
Pretty good. Thank you, sir.
You want me to stick around for anything with job descriptions, or I see underneath it says salary versus hourly, is that
Do you
anything
have
to
any
do?
input, sure?
All right, I'll wait.
Okay. All righty.
Can I just bring up two things on?
Sure.
This one is, we got a refund check for the health insurance. This remaining portion is for, what does it say on the highlighted? The elected officials and retired.
Retirement fund, Jackson NH retirement system.
And so I guess some towns would give that back to those two groups, and some towns deposit it into the general fund. So I just need to know where I'm supposed to have that deposited.
What happened to us last year? I don't remember.
I don't remember this happening before now. So it's a credit, basically.
Right.
It's $1,500 for retirement and healthcare, is it?
Yeah, it's for the
Healthcare
health
contributions,
insurance
so.
contributions.
Probably, my suggestion would be return it to the general fund, and eventually the taxpayers. Otherwise, as you said, usually they divide it up among the three people, but
Well,
we're none of
different
us are
towns
collecting
do
on that, so.
different things.
That's basically what it is we're all on our own retirement and health insurance. So this is a refund for that money.
Because of that, buy some granite.
Yeah, buy some granite, there you go, it's half of it right there.
Well, I was just telling Julie, you might want to look into concrete curting. It's probably a lot less than the granite is.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, my sister-in-law has a concrete company out in Pennsylvania, and they do a lot of concrete curting.
Mhm.
So I know, and you can make it look like granite.
Right.
You can do anything with concrete today. And I know it's probably a lot less than
Smells like
granite
you
is.
just small, Peter.
Yeah.
She's already passed it off.
All right. Oh, that's
I would
interesting.
agree with you, put it in the
Yeah.
general fund, that's fine with me. It's-
Some options there.
I don't know, it has to do with density maybe, that the concrete maybe will fall apart quicker than granite will be, but I really don't know that part of it. I know they.
Thought I might chip away for a snow plow or something like
But I
that.
know they do all the concrete work along the major highways, like Route 78 down there in Pennsylvania. And they use the concrete, so it's gotta hold up for all that plowing that takes place.
Yeah.
I'll look into it.
But just as an idea, it might be, I just assumed it would be cheaper than granite.
I know the Conservation Commission mentioned, when I brought up granite, they didn't want, well, depends who you talk to, I guess. Everybody's got a different opinion. They didn't want smooth granite because it wouldn't look right at the wild and scenic. So,
But round telephone poles is okay?
Granite's about as natural as it comes for New Hampshire, I think.
Yeah.
You can make concrete look like trees too if you want to.
Yeah.
So-
Make it look like foam.
You can do anything with it, I mean, you won't believe what they do with it.
It may take us 10 years to get to the curb.
What have you done up there that's Larry's so tickled about? I mean, you said
We
you
did 2 drainage areas with rock steps,
Oh,
rough
you did?
rock
You did?
steps.
I'll have to go check it
So
out.
that, and I shaped the driveway so that instead of the water running towards the falls, it's kind of comes off the state road and does this.
Okay.
So the water goes down, goes through the drainage areas, the stone there. People seem like they're actually walking in the steps.
Oh,
That's good.
Problem is, we've created more maintenance.
Mhm.
So now we got like a mini little sediment pond to keep cleaned up.
Tell me what it is.
Hmm?
What it is then.
James, like, is someone else with us?
The only other thing was just kind of an FYI about the properties. Everyone paid for the deeded properties except those 2, and Jeanette is going to process that on Monday.
You know,
Do we need to make a motion on that, Chair?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So I entertain a motion to accept the $1,507.68 to be placed in the general fund as a refund from the LGC Health Trust.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that will be done. I'll put that. You want that?
Oh, sure.
Okay. And you said we don't have to act on these because
No, it's
Jeanette's
just-
taking care of this.
yeah, it's
This is
already-
all- These are just
It's
the
just an
2
FYI.
that she's looking at in terms of deeds. All right, next is the New Hampshire Department of Safety Ordinance. This is the ordinance here to record checks for peddlers and vendors that come into town. Something they're suggesting we adopt at some point in the next town meeting as an ordinance, local ordinance. They have some wording, suggested wording that we could use, and I think what I'll do is I'll bring this to the planning board tonight, so they can look that over. That's what they want to do with that.
Sounds like we're talking about a number of different possible ordinances to go before the voters.
Right, yeah, and again, this is all with the credit checks and.
Well, one thing on that,
Right.
Goody was a little bit shocked at the lack of ordinances that we have. Basic, very basic stuff. You know, as far as how we do day-to-day stuff, like fireworks or fire alarm, nuisance fire alarms. I mean, we really don't have anything official.
That's because he's from the big city.
Yes.
He's that Berlin boy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yes, but it's very, I know we talked about it, you know, it's hard to, when somebody has an issue or complains about something and you're expected to solve it or deal with it, if you don't have an ordinance that pertains to certain things, it's hard to
Right.
do anything.
Right.
I mean, no, I sure don't want ordinances, but maybe there's a few that we should have, I guess.
Well, the fireworks example is an interesting idea. I mean, there was an incident this last July where
Yeah.
there were people shooting fireworks off in the middle of Carter Notch Road up there, and I guess they do it every year.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've had this discussion with Carl on the fireworks thing. We've had no major issues. I mean, once in a while people shoot them off and a neighbor doesn't like to hear it, but the way that I was looking at it from the fire side, the state says they're legal. If the state says they're good enough in New Hampshire, then in the whole state, I don't see no reason why we can't have it unless we have a particular issue, you know. If every year fireworks are starting forest fires in Jackson, then
That's an issue.
That's a reason to have an ordinance, but,
Right.
so that's kind of.
But you don't want them going off at 3 in the morning either.
No, but, I mean, if all of a sudden you got, you know, half the town's doing it all the time, then it might be an issue, but if once in a blue moon, do you create an ordinance just for something that happens once in a blue moon? I don't think so.
So that's just going to be something that we address for town meeting for the ordinances, is that?
Sounds
I
like
know
we're
I'm gonna bring up the alarm one.
Okay.
That I know will be brought up,
Okay.
if we figure it out.
I put it on my list here.
And we need to make a decision on this LGC recommended vendor ordinance.
Have you guys read that, or?
Well,
I can't say that I can, I remember discussing it, I saw a draft he had, I don't think I've seen this.
That's July 22nd came in.
I put a copy from the last meeting in everyone's box. I don't know, got maybe lost in the paperwork, but I have more copies.
Well, something that we need to check out.
Yeah.
All right, job descriptions, police department. I didn't have any issues with anything here.
He pulled that out of the, in other words, there's a generic, that fits everything. He feels comfortable with it. I don't have any problems with it. I couldn't tell you it's absolutely perfect. Job descriptions never are, but we discussed it. He pulled it down from I assume it's some kind of police or state website about, deputies, and that's where you got it.
I would think it's pretty straightforward.
That's what I think.
Police and fire, is state, you have so many state regulations and all you gotta do, it's pretty self-explanatory, I think,
Right.
on that side, the fire and highway, fire and PD.
So, want to make a motion to accept this as written?
I'll make a motion that we accept the police officer job description presented by, and recommended by the chief of police.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next we got the town clerk. This is all stuff that, obviously I don't do, so I'm relying on somebody who's knowing what the heck's going on here. So I have no issue with it.
And that currently exists.
That was the one Jeanette gave and that she used, and actually, I think if I remember correctly, she said she used that when hiring.
An assistant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we want to entertain a motion to accept this one?
I'll make a motion that we accept the job description for the deputy town clerk, presented by the town clerk and recommended by the town clerk.
I'll second that one.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, now we're down to equipment operator here.
And there are actually two coming from the highway department. When Jay and I talked, they felt there was need for a full-time job description as well as a part-time job description, so he's got some flexibility there.
Three including mine, right?
Well, yeah, yours is already done.
Oh, that's done,
Yeah.
approved.
Yep.
Someone should give me a copy of that someday, an official copy.
And so, what you're looking at is the final draft. You get a chance to go over that one last time after I put it together?
I'm fine with the equipment operator full-time one. I don't know whatever happened with the part-time,
Okay.
other than what I talked to you about.
Yeah.
Because we'd already had one, very vague, but we had one when we hired Gerald.
Right.
So I don't know how you changed it, what you added, subtracted.
I passed along after our meeting, I thought you were going to get one in your box to go through. I incorporated all the changes, and it's basically not my job description, it's yours. It recognizes the whole CDL thing we talked about and everything else, so. You
Want to take one more look at it before?
I'm sure if Paul's happy with it, I am. I'm sure I'm going to.
on the
We
phone.
talked about it, so
You want to table it, so you get a chance to read it?
that's fine.
Yeah, I'd feel better about that.
I would too.
The full-time one, you,
Yeah, that's, yeah. I don't think we made any changes or one or two.
So we'll table this one and
so I'll make a motion that we accept the full-time highway department job description recommended by the road agent.
I second that.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And we'll just table that one. Or Jay gets a
Yeah,
chance.
we'll table that.
One comment that, on the job descriptions that I really thought was good, that Bob kind of educated me on, but the fact, because my guys kept asking questions about, what's the sense of having job descriptions, we work here and we gotta do what they want, we gotta do what you want, because if not, we're not gonna work here. And Bob had brought up that it could actually be more beneficial to you people, especially 3 years from now, when there's 3 new selectmen sitting there. And they don't know what she does, or what I do, or what my guys do, and they can look at the job descriptions and say, oh, okay, that's what he's supposed to do, and that's what the road agent's supposed to do, and that's what you're supposed to do. I never really thought of it that way until he mentioned it to me, and I explained that to the guys. This is why, probably the biggest reason why we're doing it. I mean, it's still good to have a job description when you're gonna hire somebody, and you can say,
This is what
this
you
is
need to
what
do.
you're expected. So for, I explained that to my guys, it's just as beneficial for you guys, selectmen in the future, as it is for you, us. That was good as well.
I have that police ordinance thing. When I had looked at it, I was just, that's trash, man. Need to shred it.
So we get some headway on those jobs.
Yep, I think.
It's almost written. All this.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. Can you make sure you have a copy of that part?
Yes.
All right, anything else on job descriptions? All right, salary versus hourly. Julie had this email here to the LGC, I assume.
Yes, it's from
Change from hourly to salary, and you asked them if they had to make that motion in a public meeting, and they said yes. We wanted to do that. So it doesn't have to go through a town meeting.
Was that something particular, or are you talking about?
Talking about the town office.
Oh,
Administrative job.
the reason it got my attention was that subject, Carl's brought up that subject many times to me, as department heads, salary versus hourly.
Yeah.
So that's why I got my attention.
Well, I'm glad you're here, being one of the 3 department heads, and we've got 2 of the 3 department heads now, and I also asked Julie if she could come up with a list of positive reasons of why it would benefit the town to have those positions as salary as opposed to hourly, and you came up with some things. You want to share what you...
I think that, did you print off what I wrote?
I didn't print it.
I don't.
No.
Well, I was just saying that, it just makes a distinction between the department heads and the town staff. It's, a consistent, for our benefit, for the people that would be salaried, it's just a consistent amount each week. Less time consuming with filling out time cards.
So with having a salary, you wouldn't have to fill a time card period?
Correct.
That's about it. Like I said, Carl's mentioned this to me many times, because he's, I think,
Now, you would probably fit the criteria for that. The police department is a little bit
Well,
different.
the only issue I got with it, and I'm not sure, like I said, Kyle's brought it up to me a bunch of times, and I'm not quite sure where I stand with it, other than in the wintertime, I don't know how I'd feel about salary. I mean, in the wintertime, I can work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, depending on what the weather's like. So I guess the question would be, if they did decide to go salary, does that mean if my work is, I mean, am I working 30 hours in the summer, 80 hours in the winter? Does it always change? I mean, like right now, for example, we're paving, so I have to work tomorrow. Or I have to work all day, but I gotta at least go check on them. I had to work last night till 5:30, so we're gonna be into overtime. I mean, I did come in late this morning, so try to help.
I think that would be,
Getting up, so.
that would probably be a discussion that you would need to have with the selectmen as to how you wanted to treat, if you even wanted to take your position to salary, it may not benefit you to do that.
I mean, I can see some benefits with it. I mean, if you're gonna say, as long as I'm getting the work done and I'm here when I need to be here, if I'm gone after 25 or 30 hours in the summertime for 5 months, and then the 5 months in the winter where I might possibly work 70 hours a week, every week, then maybe there's a benefit, there's a huge benefit there maybe. I don't,
Something you
I
have to
guess
weigh out.
I guess there's gotta be, I mean, if you're gonna hire me as the manager position, I mean, I guess apparently there's a certain level of trust there, so if, you know.
It's basically,
If I'm
you're
getting
responsible for getting your job done, however that may be. If you need to work
60
90
hours.
hours, 60 hours every single week because you're not getting it done, then you have to do that.
But what about in the summertime, if I'm getting what I need to get done on my side of things in 20 hours, is that?
My understanding is that that's where the salary would benefit you, because then you can adjust your schedule accordingly as long as you're getting
And
it
it may
done.
be a huge benefit to me. I can see how it can benefit, you know, the town, this is a set salary, and
Right, and whatever it takes.
probably benefits you guys for less paperwork. So, because
What kind of hours?
Kyle's for it.
What kind of overtime hours are you putting in the winter? You
It's
have to
always
look
good.
into that.
I mean, I might go a month and not work overtime.
Right,
I might work 80 hours a week for 3 weeks straight.
right.
I mean, every year we've pulled 22-hour shifts. Pretty much, when you hit 22, you're done.
Right.
No matter what, because physically you.
Yeah, but I think that's a slippery slope. I'm not sure I would go that route.
You
I
should.
think, well, it's not fair to him, it's not fair to, I don't think it's fair to him, I don't think it's fair to the town. I think it's a slippery slope. And there'll be, you know, there'll be people wondering why Jay isn't at work and all kinds of
Yeah.
things, and then we're
And
gonna.
they're not gonna say, well, Jesus, you worked 70 hours this
Yeah,
week.
I think that's a slippery slope. I think you're gonna have to face this issue not taking, I respect what you said and I think it's fine, but it's a slippery slope of perception that is not gonna do well. It's not gonna do well.
Yeah, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna say, everybody, oh, if he's not working, he's not doing anything this week.
Well, you also have crew members that are working. I mean, you're gone and they're, I mean, it's a slippery slope to
You
get.
gotta-
The perception is gonna be misconstrued, I can almost guarantee you that. So I would be nervous about coming up with, well, I'm gonna work 10 hours this week, but I'm gonna work 80 in January, so I'll make it up. It's just a slippery slope of perception that isn't fair to you, I don't think, because it's gonna be, you know, directed at you and then at us, and I just.
I think in a bigger town with more employees, the public works director or whatever, could probably be salaried and say, you know, you're gonna work 40 hours a week, because you don't have to work all night long.
Right.
That's right, and I think, you know, recognizing department heads that are in charge of budgets and everything else, and yet at the same time, your work week hours vary so much that the salary may not make sense for you, as opposed to somebody like Carl. And of course, this came up with Julie and her position that was created, and as a result of her 90-day review, we've decided to kind of look at whether or not that salary position makes sense. I mean, she doesn't have that huge variance in hours that she works every week. It's pretty much a set range of hours that she works, and she has been charged with essential duties, and you're a department head, and you need to manage a budget, and you need to make sure these things are done, and this is your job. And so it can bring so, you know, coupled with these job descriptions, when we've got people working regular hours, you know, understanding what their duties are and responsibilities and roles are in the town, it starts to make sense to some towns to put some people in that salary position. I would never support bringing or advocate for taking somebody from an hourly rate of pay to a salary position unless it's something that they wanted and that seemed to make sense from a town management standpoint.
I mean, I could possibly see some advantages for everybody, but I can see definitely the perception thing.
In your case, there is.
There is an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've expanded the hours of operation now for the town office a little bit, and so it's something that came up during the performance review. And that's why we wanted to look into. I mean, at the last meeting, we decided we were going to ask LGC what the process was from changing someone over from an hourly rate of pay, and so we understand what the hourly rate was, and the conversation was about making that hourly rate based on the full-time hours that were worked at a salary position. So, but it was never meant to transfer into the road agent or even the police chief at this point in time. But you never know. I mean, you may look at it further. I think I probably concur with Bill and his concerns in your case, just because your hours do vary so much.
When you're supervised, I mean, you can't be away supervising people.
That's
You
right.
have to be here to supervise people, really, technically, even if you're doing road,
That's right.
tarring, paving.
But as far as Julie's position and changing that over from hourly to salary, I think we've got, you know, what we needed. We actually talked about, you know, possibly looking at that at the end of the year. Now that she's through the 90-day evaluation, and we know it's not something we need to go to a warrant article on, I certainly, I don't know if we need more time, or we need a greater understanding on what that would mean to change that over. I think we've got somebody that's certainly our performance evaluation on records kind of makes clear how we feel about the quality of work coming out of there now, and bring some continuity to that position. I'm certainly understanding the benefits of having that position as a salary position as opposed to an hourly position. No, but I don't know if we need to have more conversation about that.
Well, I think, didn't John say last time we would actually, if we're going to do it, we do it at the end of the year, not in the middle of the year?
He did say that.
Not that you have to stick with that. The only thing that is a possibility is that if Julie wants to look at what she actually does or keep track of something and see what that does for 6 months and say, well, if I turn salary January 1st, I'm going to lose $2,300. Or I don't know how it's going to turn out, but as John said, I think there's no rush to do it. And as long as Julie feels comfy with it, I'm fine with it. I just, you know, trying to avoid any surprises that she would say, well, I didn't realize that was going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we've talked about it. I mean, she's done all the math. Do you want to say anything more?
Oh, I'm very comfortable. I've usually done salary positions. so
okay,
I-
then I'm fine with it. If she's fine with it, I'm fine with it. I'm good.
Well, if everybody's fine with it, I can certainly make a motion that we switch that over as of January 1st, but I don't want to make a motion that's going to make anybody uncomfortable.
I'm not uncomfortable. I'll do whatever
I'll
you...
make a motion that we change Julie's rate of pay into a salary position as of January 1st.
I can second that.
All right, any further discussion?
I have none.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? One thing I forgot to do, and I keep forgetting to do, unfortunately, is we are short one, I believe, on the planning board, aren't we? Because of Frank.
Yes, one short.
So we need to get, I guess, post that and get that advertised and filled. I know Mike is still on. He just took a little hiatus because
Yeah,
of
he
his
said
business.
that he does not come to summer meetings.
Mike Mallon.
Mike
Not
Mallon.
yet.
All right. Any public comments? Public? All right, item number 12 is 2 non-public sessions. one of which is RSA 91-A:32C. Matters to be discussed that might adversely affect someone other than the board member. And RSA 91-A:32A, dismissal, promotion, compensation of a public employee. Take a motion to move into non-public?
So,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Stand up.
Yeah, stand up. Can I give you this stuff? This is past stuff. Just either shred it or throw it. I don't know what you do with it.
Thank you, Martha. I have a
And I have had seen that.